You ever wake up next to someone and feel like they're already gone? That was Celeste. Same smile, same routine. But her eyes? They didn't look at me anymore. Not really. And the way she clung to that phone, like it held her new religion. I've been with this woman for 11 years. I know every inch of her soul. So when her laugh got softer around me, but louder when she thought I wasn't listening, I didn't need a reason. I felt it. And then there was Jesus, not the one from church. Jesus Pena, my best friend since middle school. The guy who knew everything about me, who helped me bury my dad, who toasted me at my wedding. Suddenly he was around a lot, always just dropping by, always with a smile too wide and eyes that wandered too long toward my wife. Celeste said I was paranoid. Jesus said I needed to relax. But I'd been trained for war, trained to read danger, even when it came with a grin and a six-pack. So I smiled back, played dumb, but I was already watching. I didn't confront them, because when you've lived a life like mine, you don't pull the trigger just because you feel something. You wait, you watch, and when the time comes, you make sure there's no way back. What would you do if the two people closest to you shared a secret? And it wasn't just betrayal, it was a plan to erase you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you've ever trusted someone who made you regret it. And make sure you subscribe, because this story's only getting darker from here. I hosted a backyard barbecue that weekend. Burgers, beers, music, the usual. Celeste was there, acting normal. Jesus showed up too, like he always does lately. Always friendly, always helpful, always watching her. I didn't say much, just played my role. The good husband, the generous host. But before the night started, I placed a small mic in the guest bathroom, right under the sink behind the extra rolls of toilet paper. I'd used these tools in my old line of work. They still come in handy. I had a feeling they'd sneak off somewhere, and that bathroom had just enough privacy. Later that night, when everyone left and the house was quiet, I sat in my garage with my laptop. I played the recording. They didn't even try to hide it. Celeste said, "Did you see Eduardo's face? He has no idea." Then Jesus laughed and called me predictable. Said I was the kind of guy who still buys flowers and thinks that means something. Celeste? She joined in, talked about how boring I'd become. Said I was too easy to fool. That hit different. It wasn't just an affair. It was the way they laughed. Like I was stupid. Like I was a joke. I didn't blow up. I didn't barge into the bedroom and confront her. That's what they'd expect. That's what people do when they act on emotion. I made a call instead. Hannah Hunt, one of the few people who actually knows what I'm capable of. We worked together back in the day, intelligence, digital tracking, quiet cleanups. She's not someone you find in a phone book. She's someone you call when you don't want your problems traced. I didn't need to explain much. I said Celeste's name, and Hannah was already halfway in. "Send me what you've got," she said. "We'll see what else they're hiding." While Celeste was brushing her teeth, thinking she had me wrapped around her finger, I was already building a case with someone who could break through any firewall, any phone, any lie. Let them laugh. Let them plan. They didn't realize I was already 10 steps ahead. After the recording, I didn't change a thing on the outside. I still made breakfast like always. Still kissed Celeste on the cheek. Still joked with Jesus when he randomly stopped by again that week. I didn't want to tip them off. Every fake smile I gave was part of something bigger. I wasn't just buying time. I was building something behind the scenes. Something they wouldn't see coming. First thing I did was upgrade every camera around the house. Front door, garage, kitchen, hallway. But I did more than that. I rerouted everything through a private network. Even if someone tried to delete the footage, I had backup files saved to an encrypted drive. Nothing they did inside or near my house was staying hidden anymore. Then came her phone. She had no clue I'd managed to clone her SIM card. I waited until she left it charging in the bedroom one morning while she was showering. Swapped it for a dummy for exactly 7 minutes. That's all Hannah needed. Hannah ran a full forensic pull. Every message, every app, every contact, every deleted file. What she found made my stomach twist. They weren't just messing around. They were making plans. One text from Celeste read, "I don't care how we do it. He just can't be around by the holidays." Another from Jesus, "He'll never see it coming. We'll make it look like an accident." And then there was something even worse. A PDF attachment from some shady digital notary service. It was a scanned copy of a life insurance policy. My name, my signature, $1.2 million payout. Beneficiary, Celeste Beck. The thing is, I never signed that. Not in any office. Not with any agent. Not even over the phone. Hannah confirmed the document had been uploaded from Celeste's laptop and traced the IP address used to submit it. The signature? Forged. Clumsily, too, but good enough to fool an algorithm. That's when everything shifted in my mind. This wasn't a love affair. It was a setup, a plan to erase me. Not emotionally, not financially, literally. They wanted me gone. That realization was heavy, but it didn't break me. It focused me. I didn't tell Hannah how I felt. I didn't have to. We just kept working, quietly, methodically. She mapped out every single contact they messaged, pulled records from burner phones, found references to a man neither of us recognized. A name kept coming up, Daryl Andrade. It wasn't just a random hookup anymore. They were talking to someone who didn't ask questions, someone who charged by the job. That's when I knew for sure I was on a clock, and they were getting bolder. But instead of running, I got still, because the best way to catch a snake is to let it think you're asleep. After seeing that forged life insurance policy, everything clicked into place. Celeste didn't just fall out of love. She didn't just cheat. She made the decision to take me out and cash me in. That policy had a payout of $1.2 million, and I was the key. Dead, I was worth more to her than alive. And she had help. Jesus wasn't just the side piece. He was in this thing from the ground up. Texts between them confirmed it. They'd been planning the accident for months. They were careful, never naming names directly. But one thread stood out. Celeste texted. He said he needs a travel route. Wants to know if there's a way to time it. Jesus replied, "Easy. He's driving to Vegas next month for that security expo. That's your window." That he? That was Daryl Andrade. Hannah did some digging. Quietly. Thoroughly. Daryl's name wasn't in public records, but she had ways. Old DEA watch lists, hidden financial trails, burner phone activity. She found all of it. Daryl was no amateur. He had ties to small cartel operations in El Paso. He was known for one thing: clean removals. Nothing messy, nothing traceable. He moved state to state using rental cars, all under fake names. He'd done this before. We found 3 burner phones linked to him in just the last 60 days. One of them pinged near a gas station 15 miles from our home. He had already scoped the area. He'd already started. Hannah pulled surveillance footage from that gas station. Eduardo ran a plate search on every car parked in the lot around the same window of time. One Dodge Caravan kept showing up. Same model, same dents on the bumper. We had a match. Now it was time to set the trap. I let Celeste think everything was normal. I even reminded her, casually, about my upcoming trip to Las Vegas, the one she already knew about. I gave her the dates, the route I'd be taking. I even accidentally left a printed itinerary on the kitchen counter. She didn't say anything, but I saw the change in her face, that pause, like her brain was catching up to the opportunity. It wasn't guilt, it was calculation. So I gave her what she wanted. I packed a small suitcase, kissed her on the cheek, said I'd call when I landed. Then I got in the car and headed toward Vegas, but I never made it past the state line. At a rest stop outside of Phoenix, I parked behind a diner, switched vehicles, and disappeared off-grid. The car I'd left behind? It was being tracked by Hannah, every movement, every stop, every mile. It was bait now. That same evening, Daryl's phone pinged again, this time just 20 minutes behind the car I had abandoned. He was following. Everything was falling into place. Let them think they were finally going to win. Let them think they'd planned the perfect crime. They had no idea I was building the perfect trap. It didn't take long after I left for Vegas for them to start moving. Hannah caught the message first. It came through one of Daryl's encrypted burner apps. Simple. Direct. He'll be driving alone tomorrow. Route 95. Morning. There it was. The confirmation. They thought I was on schedule. Clueless. Just another guy on a long stretch of highway. Meanwhile, Celeste and Jesus booked a weekend getaway at a spa in Sedona. We tracked the confirmation emails, saw the charges hit her card. They'd timed it perfectly. While I was supposed to be dying alone in the desert, they'd be drinking wine, soaking in hot springs, and pretending to mourn. I didn't get angry. Not anymore. At this point, it was just strategy. So, I followed the plan, but on my terms. I drove my decoy car just far enough out, along the exact route Daryl expected. Then I pulled off on a dusty shoulder outside Kingman and staged what looked like a breakdown. Hood propped open, emergency lights flashing, and I walked away. I had already planted a surveillance drone nearby, the kind you don't buy off Amazon. It had thermal imaging, high-gain audio, and a live feed directly to Hannah's system. Everything was set. From a half-mile out, hidden under camo netting with Hannah monitoring from her laptop, we waited. Daryl didn't show up immediately. He was careful, watching from a distance first. Then, slowly, he rolled up behind the truck. He stepped out, gloves on, baseball cap pulled low, one hand in his jacket. He thought it was just me. Instead, the moment he moved toward the driver's side, 2 unmarked SUVs boxed him in. Flashlights, commands, guns drawn. It was over in seconds. Federal marshals had been on standby, coordinated by one of Hannah's old contacts. They took him alive, quietly. No headlines, no blood. Celeste and Jesus never got a call back. No job done. No confirmation. Just silence. And you might wonder why I didn't press charges. Why I let a man like Daryl go after what he tried to do. It's simple. Because court cases leave trails. Because people like Celeste and Jesus learn how to spin stories when they're forced to explain things too soon. And because I wasn't finished yet. I didn't want justice on paper. I wanted something more permanent. I wanted them to feel safe again, just long enough to believe they'd gotten away with it. Let them think the plan failed. Let them think Daryl flaked or got cold feet. Because when people think the danger has passed, that's when they stop watching. That's when they make their final mistake. After Daryl was arrested, the marshals brought him in for questioning. He didn't say much at first. Guys like him rarely do. But when you're staring down federal charges and possible cartel connections getting aired out in open court, your options get real narrow real fast. I visited him once. Didn't wear a suit. Didn't show up with a lawyer. Just walked in, sat across from him, and told him the truth that I said. You were set up by amateurs who thought they were smart. But now you're in my hands. So here's the deal. Help me clean this up, and I'll make sure the footage never makes it to the FBI. He didn't blink. He just asked, "What do you want me to do?" I didn't need him to pull a trigger. I just needed him to make a call. With Hannah's help, I put together a voice modulator. I'd used tech like this years ago, enough to pass a phone call without raising a single red flag. We practiced the tone, the pauses, the delivery. Dariel's voice wasn't emotional, so that made it easier. A few days later, Celeste got the call. She was sitting on a hotel balcony in Sedona. Jesus was pouring her another glass of red wine. They had just gotten out of the hot tub when her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, and I said in Dariel's voice, "It's done. He won't be found." She didn't speak at first. I could hear the wind rustling the trees in the background. Then she laughed, light, almost relieved. Then came her reply, "Thank you. I'll transfer the rest by tomorrow." I ended the call there. That was all I needed. They popped open another bottle, clinked glasses, sat back and toasted to what they thought was a clean slate. And then Jesus said something that stuck with me. "Now we can actually start living." Imagine that. Plotting to erase a man and thinking it means freedom. What they didn't know was that their entire celebration was being recorded, video and audio. Hannah had hacked the hotel's security system 2 hours before the call. Every camera angle, every mic from the smart TV system, every word from the moment they walked into that suite was logged and stored. The way Celeste smiled, the way she kissed him right after the call, the way they talked about what they'd do with the money. That wasn't just evidence. That was proof of intent. Cold, clear, and unfiltered. And I just watched it all play out from my living room, holding a glass of water, letting the weight of what they'd done settle in. They thought they had won. They thought they were finally free. But they forgot one thing. The dead don't talk. But I wasn't dead. Not even close. After that call and their little celebration, I knew it was time to move from watching to action. Hannah and I spent the next few days locking everything down. Every message, every recording, every forged document, we put it all into a single folder. We called it the Beck file. It wasn't just screenshots of texts or video clips of their affair. This was bigger than that. We had the audio of Celeste mocking my boring loyalty with Jesus, the text thread where they discussed timing my accident, the PDF of the life insurance policy with the forged signature, metadata proving it was sent from her laptop, hotel surveillance footage of their post-hit celebration, her own voice saying thank you. I'll transfer the rest. And one final clip, Celeste, a little drunk, talking to Jesus in that hotel room. He was always good to me. Too good. But that's why it was so easy. That line did something to me. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way that made me want revenge. Just confirmation. The person I had loved, trusted, and built a life with had reduced me to a transaction, a means to a payout. And Jesus, he was just there for the ride. Once everything was compiled, I called in Rachel Davenport, my lawyer. She's not the flashy type. She doesn't throw around legal jargon or waste time. She reads fast, thinks faster, and keeps everything quiet. That's why I called her. I handed her the folder. No explanation. Just told her, everything you need is in here. She didn't flinch, just opened it, clicked through a few files, and nodded. "This is airtight," she said. "We'll start with freezing the assets. Then we'll hit them with the divorce papers at the right moment." "But when you say right moment, you mean what exactly?" I leaned back, looked her in the eye, and said, "When they see me." Because up until now, Celeste and Jesus believed I was dead, that Daryl had handled it, that the insurance money was just delayed paperwork. They were planning trips, house shopping, starting their new life. But what happens when the ghost walks in? I didn't want screaming. I didn't want fights. I just wanted one thing, the look on their faces. All this time, they thought they'd buried me. What they didn't realize is that I had been digging too, just in the opposite direction. Now all that was left was to walk back into their lives and take it all. I knew if I wanted to end this clean, I had to let them bury me first. So I gave them the funeral they were hoping for. Hannah and I worked up a fake obituary. It wasn't dramatic, just quiet and believable. A short post announcing that Eduardo McCullough, age 38, passed unexpectedly during a business trip in Nevada. It was vague on purpose. People don't ask too many questions when the grief seems raw. We send it to my consulting firm's internal email list. A few people reached out to offer condolences. Some sent flowers. My assistant called Celeste, crying, saying how sorry she was. Celeste didn't correct her. The very next day, she posted a black and white photo of me on Facebook. Caption said, "You were the love of my life. Rest easy, my heart. I'll never forget you." Hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments. All fake. She was grieving a man she had tried to erase. And while the rest of the world thought she was mourning, she and Jesus were renting a luxury cabin in the mountains. We already had eyes on it. Hannah tapped into the smart security system the owners had installed. Outdoor cameras, indoor cameras, even the ones they didn't know were running. We saw everything. They arrived with wine, luggage, and smiles. Jesus tossed a duffel bag onto the couch and said, "So this is what freedom feels like." Celeste kissed him and said, "It's over. For real this time." They poured drinks, laughed, toasted to new beginnings. She took a selfie with him in front of the fireplace, then turned to Jesus and said, "We'll get the check in a few weeks. After that, we disappear." I waited until they were both tipsy, relaxed, comfortable. It was time. I didn't knock. I opened the door, stepped in, and stood there, calm, quiet, and alive, dressed in black from head to toe. Not dramatic, just intentional. Jesus saw me first. He froze, glass halfway to his lips. Then he dropped it. Red wine spilled across the floor like blood. Celeste turned next. She blinked. Once. Twice. She whispered, "No." I didn't speak. I didn't need to, because in that moment the silence was louder than anything I could have said. It told them everything I knew. I'd always known, and I'd never stopped watching. She backed up. He stood there, pale, frozen, shaking. I looked at both of them and took one slow step forward. Then I pulled out a small tablet, tapped the screen, and played back her own voice from the hotel recording. "Thank you. I'll transfer the rest by tomorrow." Her hand flew to her mouth. Jesus tried to say something, stuttered, couldn't find the words. I turned the screen off, slipped it back into my jacket, and said, finally, "You planned my death, so I planned your ending." Then I walked out, left them there, stunned, broken, and terrified. They weren't mourning anymore. Now they were waiting for the rest of it to fall apart. And it would, because I wasn't done. When I walked out of that cabin, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Hannah was already in the system. She had accessed the router remotely from that exact cabin days earlier. What they didn't know is that the smart TV, the phone they connected to the Bluetooth speaker, the very Wi-Fi network they were using, it had all been turned into a live broadcast machine. We didn't leak it to the press. We didn't post it online. We streamed it directly through private, targeted links to a few key people, a contact in federal insurance fraud investigations, a detective in organized crime with an interest in Daryl Andrade, the underwriting firm listed on the forged policy, and Celeste's financial advisor, who unknowingly helped her set up accounts to funnel the payout. Each recipient received a neat little package, a clear video of Celeste saying, "Thank you. I'll transfer the rest by tomorrow." A screenshot of the life insurance PDF with the timestamp and metadata. A video of her celebrating with Jesus, drinking, kissing, laughing, and saying, "Now we can actually start living." A copy of the forged signature next to mine. And finally, the audio from the barbecue bathroom, the moment I knew for sure. I didn't add commentary. I didn't need to. The facts spoke louder than any speech ever could. 36 hours later, I got the call. Celeste Beck and Jesus Pena were both taken into custody. Fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, forgery, attempted insurance theft, federal charges, the kind that stick. Celeste tried to plead confusion at first, claimed I had faked everything to get back at her. But the evidence was bulletproof. They had no idea how deep we'd gone. And the best part, I never even had to step inside a courtroom. Everything they needed was already logged, labeled, and delivered. While the arrests played out, I quietly stepped away from public life, deleted social media, moved out of the state, closed down the business under my name, left everything that had my face on it behind. No press, no interviews, no gloating. I didn't want revenge headlines. I wanted silence. I wanted peace. Some people think justice looks like loud courtroom scenes or public takedowns. But sometimes, justice is watching two people fall apart under the weight of their own lies, and doing it without ever raising your voice. It's been 16 months since the arrests. Celeste took a plea deal, 10 years minimum, no early release. Jesus tried to flip on her, claimed she manipulated him, but the recordings told a different story. He's doing time too, not as long, but long enough for the world to forget his name. As for me, I don't exist anymore, not in the way they remember. I live in Iceland now. New name, clean passport, no digital footprint that traces back to who I used to be. It's quiet here, cold in the winter, peaceful in a way that's hard to describe, but it fits. People ask what I do for work. I keep it simple. I write encrypted security protocols for whistleblowers. The irony? The same skills Celeste underestimated are now used to protect people like I used to be. People trying to escape systems that want to bury them. I work at night mostly, when the world is still, when there's no noise, no fake apologies, no empty promises ringing in my ears, just silence and a keyboard. I haven't looked back. Not once. You see, I didn't walk away from that life because I was broken. I walked away because I finally understood that peace isn't something people hand you. You build it, quietly, brick by brick, after you've burned everything fake to the ground. Celeste thought I was just her husband. She forgot I was trained to disappear and to bury the ones who couldn't keep their masks on. You know, they planned a funeral for me. Funny thing is, it ended up being theirs. If you've ever been lied to by someone you trusted, if you've ever played dumb just to see how far they'd go, then this story's for you. Drop a fire in the comments if you felt that twist. Like the video if you believe karma doesn't miss. And subscribe for more stories just like this, because the best revenge is showing them you didn't just survive. You rebuilt, and they can't even Google who you are anymore.